For the 57th year, nearly 600 passionate amateur racers have gathered to select their national champions under a unique format. One race, winner take all. And for the first time in 7 years, their stage is America's National Park of Speed, Road America. Welcome to the Sports Car Club of America Runoffs, our broadcast presented by Mazda.
For the 57th time, the Sports Car Club of America has convened to crown its national champions, and what better place to do it than Road America. Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Marine. Larry McLeod alongside Hayward Wagner down on pit lane as we have entered day 2 of the Hagerty Race Days at Road America, part of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Our live coverage presented by Mazda. Formula F coming up next, for a long time known as Formula Ford, although Honda has taken this class over in recent years, Larry, and this has for many years been a prime training ground for aspiring open-wheel drivers. Some have gone on to great sports car careers, others have gone to pursue professional open-wheel racing, but for so many, the beginning of their journey to a professional career came in cars much like the ones we're about to see.
Absolutely. You know, one of the most famous ones that came out of these ranks was Jimmy Vasser, who won this championship back in the 80s. Another big name that kind of got this all kicked off, if you go back to the very, very beginning, the first years of the Formula Ford or the Formula F class, was a guy named Skip Barber. Actually won the first 2 championships in this class. So, yeah, there's a lot of heritage of folks that went on to very strong careers that started right here. But the storylines that will be coming in here, we got a little bit of experience mixed with a lot of youth in this field. So it'll be a fun one to watch today.
And to tell us more about the storylines for this upcoming race, let's go down to the third member of the broadcast team and Hayward Wagner.
Morning, guys. I'm down here on the Formula F grid. These are going to be a great race between some very similar-looking cars. We're on a spec tire, more or less a spec engine at this point in time. There's 2 choices. The old Ford Kent that everyone ran for decades. Now most of these guys are running the Honda Fit motor, the same motor that comes in the Honda Fit passenger car crammed in the back of one of these single-seat Formula cars. The 2 storylines to keep in mind, number 1, Tim Couts third on the grid. Tim's a little bit more experienced, shall we say, than the rest of this field. He said to me this morning, I have to get a little bit of help getting into the car, but once a minute, I feel as young as the rest of these guys. The other storyline, if you look over my shoulder, there's a big void right now on the grid. We do not have our second place qualifier here. Now, they have told me that he can take his position up until 1 minute warning, which we're about 2 minutes away from. There are a couple of cars rolling up grid right now. We are now under the 3-minute warning, but guys, as you in the booth know, being late to grid can either be part of a strategy to make sure you have heat in the tires, or it can be indicative of a bit of a scramble this morning. So let's keep a close eye on this car coming to grid right now, number 8, and see how they look. That car is on stickers, so we'll see how he looks on the outlap.
That is Jonathan Kotick. Thank you very much, Hayward, who did qualify in that second spot. So maybe some strategy. Maybe they're trying to fix something last minute. If it's me, the last thing I want to do is be rushed to the grid, especially before a race of this magnitude.
If he were a rookie, I'd be a little bit concerned, but that is your 2-time defending champion who rolled in as the last car to the grid. So I'm not sure I'd be concerned about his nerves, but should there be a mechanical issue, perhaps? I suspect more. It's a bit more strategic considering that the temperatures today, not as cold as they were earlier this week. Still, we are in the low 60s, but anything you can do to put a little bit of heat in the tires before they roll out is a good thing. He'll be certainly one of the strong contenders. 2 in a row. No one in this class has ever won 3 in a row.
Fascinating. So perhaps history in the making here this morning. We talked a little bit about this class already, how Honda has more or less taken over as the engine supplier of choice. There are 2 Fords in the class. They'll be starting 13th and 14th. But we do still have a couple of different choices in chassis, and that is part of the history and heritage of this class.
Absolutely. You go back to the early days of the whole Formula Ford. You know, you had Lotus that got into it when Colin Chapman started to develop them. You get into the 1980s and the Swift chassis just became so dominant. But in the recent years, you've got kind of a battle of the Mygales that have won the championships, but don't count out the Pipers and the Van Diemens that are still running. You look down the list, we still have one of the old Citations still running. Some of those Swifts we're going to see out here are still out in this field. So mixture of chassis, as Hayward was alluding to. So it's not just a single chassis. There are some variation.
And the mix of experience and youth always part of his class as well. But on the youth side of things, like we talked about at the Open, this has been a class that has provided a jumping-off point for many professional careers, and our pole sitter Simon Sykes certainly hopes that that's going to be the case for him. He was chosen by Jeremy Shaw for the very prestigious Team USA scholarship that Jeremy has been running now for 30 years. Jimmy Vassar, who you mentioned earlier, one of the early recipients of that scholarship that helped to put American drivers in road racing on the map, take them over to the United Kingdom and race in the Formula Ford Festival at Brands Hatch and at Silverstone, in the Walter Hayes Trophy. Simon Sykes unable to go over to Europe to partake in those opportunities as part of the scholarship this year because of his racing commitments here in the States, but that is indicative of the kind of talent that he has and the regard that he has built within the racing community. He's been tabbed as one of those up-and-coming Americans who could be racing in IndyCar or Formula One one day.
Yeah, and you would think, well, a young man like this, and with all this talent, these opportunities, well, he must have a big ego. I talked to him yesterday afternoon. There couldn't be a more humble kid. And I went up to the team, and the team standing there said, "Oh yeah, we'll see if we can go find Simon. He's around here somewhere." Well, his bike is still here. He couldn't have gone too far, but he's kind of hard to find because he's just out soaking in the entire entity of this event. He's just having a great time. So he might just be wandering off talking to people. And about 2 minutes later, he came up, and we had a good chat about this race and how much fun he's going to have. He's so looking forward to mixing it up. And then he'll be running in the Formula Continental race later on, and he's just having a good time and really enjoying this.
He is your Tire Rack Pole Award winner as we introduce you now to the starting grid. 14 cars will answer the bell and start this race, the Formula F Championship as it's known now, in the SCCA runoff. Simon Sykes on pole from Martinez, Georgia, in a Rice Race Group 6gear.com Susi sponsored Mygale SJ12 chassis with the Honda engine. Jonathan Kotick, we saw him roll up at the last minute. Your defending and two-time national champion, also in a Mygale, but in the SJ14 variant, will start second. Tim Couts from St. Charles, Illinois, will be starting third in a Piper chassis with a Honda engine. Jeffrey Bart starts fourth from Plymouth, Wisconsin, just down the road, in a Van Diemen with Honda power. Baylor Griffin starting in fifth, Robert Perona in sixth from Tampa Bay, Florida, and Indianapolis, Indiana, respectively. Bill Kephart from Colorado Springs, Colorado, will start seventh in a Vestial Honda. And in eighth, David H. Livingston Jr. from Nashville, Tennessee, in the ThermaMasters Spectrum 014H Honda. Starting in ninth, Burton Kyle August from Webster, New York, in the Rice Race Monroe Mygale. Russell J. Rutsuli from Rochester, Michigan, will start in the 10th position in his Van Diemen. It's a Spectrum chassis for 11th place starter Max Malinin from Ketchum, Idaho. Already raced once this weekend yesterday. Bob Reed alongside starting 12th in his Weiss-sponsored Citation FF with the Honda power. And then the two Ford runners starting 13th and 14th. Wes Allen from Lexington, Kentucky in a Swift chassis. That's a DB6 variant. And then the DB1 with the Ford power plant for Alan Murray from Brainerd, Minnesota. These cars and this track, Larry, it's going to be a lot of fun. Long straightaways where drafting will become part of the package, but then it's all about finding the mechanical grip necessary. Not a lot of downforce on these cars to make your way through the technical twisty sections.
This will turn into a chess match as this race starts to unfold, as they will definitely be using that draft and swapping spots. As you come around the last couple of corners, we get towards the end of the race. And when I talked to Simon Sykes yesterday, I said, "So what do you have a strategy as you get to the end of the race?" And he said, "Well, out here for the June sprints, I believe he was racing with Bob Perona, and he had Simon Sykes had the advantage coming off of 14, and Perona was able to just nip him there at the finish stripe, and he said, do it all over again. I may have to choose a different strategy."
A few awards already handed out this week, going back to the 3 days of qualifying. On Sunoco Day 1 of qualifying, Baylor Griffin won the Sunoco 260 award for the driver whose qualifying time in the decimal places, to the right of the decimal, came closest to 260. Baylor did it with a time of 227.199. Meanwhile, on Day 2 of qualifying, that was Hawk Breaks Day 2, the Hawk Breakthrough Performance Award went to David H. Livingston Jr. from Nashville, Tennessee. That came to the driver who improved the lap time the most from day 1 to day 2. David improved from a 2:30.8 to a 2:26 flat. Big improvement there, and will qualify in the 8th starting position. Earned a set of brake pads from Hawk for that achievement as the Breakthrough Performance Award winner on day 2 of qualifying. And of course, day 3 of qualifying, tire rack pole day. Simon Sykes brings home that award with a 2:22.916 lap time. That has him on pole by about 0.3 of a second. That is a pretty big margin in this class, but with the prevalence of drafting that we expect to see over 13 laps or 40 minutes of this race, you're going to need to be able to pull out a lead much bigger than that to drop off anybody trying to get in your toe.
It's going to be near impossible to try and pull out any sort of margin. The way these cars, this is almost the most purest form of racing. Margins are just going to be slim to come by. It's really going to come down to strategy about your position near the end of this race.
So the Formula F Championship about to be decided here at the classic Road America circuit. Simon Sykes will be starting on the pole. The young up-and-comer from Georgia. Jonathan Kotick outside, the reigning 2-time national champion, both in Mygale chassis. Slightly different variants, however. Tim Counts in 3rd from St. Charles, Illinois. Will start on the inside of the second row. Jeffrey Bartz alongside from nearby Plymouth, Wisconsin. Baylor Griffin, Robert Perona, Bill Kephart, David Livingston, the rest of the top 8. Burton August and Russell Rudsuli completing the top 10 as the field forms into perfect alignment coming up that big hill. And when they crest it, they expect to see the green flag that will send us off on a race to settle the national championship. Simon Sykes to the left of the screen, waiting for that green flag to unfurl. He starts to pick up the pace a little bit, gets a nice jump already. Kotick settling in behind. The battle is for 3rd behind the top 2, although Kotick now with a bit of a run headed towards turn number 1. He'll stay in the slipstream of Sykes for now as it's 2x2 further back.
Everybody's just going to try and settle in here. Still a little bit of cold tires. Even Kotick with maybe the warmers on there a little longer. These are still relatively cold tires early in this race.
Jeffrey Bartz from 4th on the grid has swept through to take 3rd, and contact further back will send the 23 of Baylor Griffin around. He winds up facing the wrong direction in the kitty litter there on the exit of 3. Another driver also appeared at the bottom of the screen to be off track as well. So early problems there, certainly for Griffin, a guy we thought might contend, as here comes Kotick now to the lead, passing Sykes through turn number 5.
This top 4, because of that incident, has really led to a big breakaway for the 4 of them. And keeping an eye on Couts, he just wants to stick with this group. Couts coming in with 3 championships. Only one other driver has won 4 championships in this field, so he wants to join. I've got that name here in a second, but we've already got an off too. These drivers are really getting aggressive here on the cold tires this morning.
I believe that was Simon Sykes, the pole sitter there, off just a little bit. Saw the brake lock up slightly from Kotick. He's able to reel it back in. 2 nearly identical blue colors on the cars right there, running in 2nd and 3rd. Looks like that is Sykes up ahead. Still holding off Counts for now, and that's Bartz, in the number 33 machine. Counts running in the 4th spot, and then we drop back a little further, and that's the Indianapolis native Robert Perona running in the 5th position.
He'd be definitely one to watch, as he said he's a driving coach. He's actually running some kart races, IndyCar kart races, not go-karts, and so he's definitely one to keep an eye on if he can catch up to this front pack.
Look at this battle a little bit further back. Actually, this is at the front, We jump back to the front here. Simon Sykes trying to hold off a couple of hungry drivers. That's for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, as Kotick has been able to check out on this field. Sykes in the number 61 machine trying to regain his rhythm after going off track ever so slightly.
So yeah, seeing the pace here early at Kotick, that maybe those extra warm tires by coming right up to the last minute coming to grid might be a little bit of a help here on those early laps.
Cars cross the start-finish line for the first time. Kotick's lap at 2:30.613. He's built a lead of a half a second, but you can see they don't last long in this class. When you get lined up as they were, you can get a nice slipstream there. Kotick using all of the pavement to the outside of turn number 1. That was awfully close, nearly wheel-to-wheel contact from Couts as he slides to the inside and is able to jump up into the second spot.
They all did fall back in line there with that emergency vehicle on the scene still there at turn 3. Couldn't quite go too wide there, but them doing all this and slowing down, that is giving a chance for Bob Perona to maybe kind of sneak up a couple extra tenths and try to keep up with this front pack.
Yeah, it was 1.9 seconds back at the time. We do have a standing yellow in that corner, so that's interesting because Couts did make the pass there. That's something the stewards are going to take a quick look at, I have no doubt. Side by side in the run up the hill here to turn 6. This is for 3rd place. Sykes, the pole sitter on the inside, has to back out of it. These are not the most robust vehicles. If you have contact, it tends to be catastrophic for your hopes of getting a good result. Let's take a look at this again. This is into that area where there was a standing yellow, we believe. That was Couts picking up 2 spots.
So they were side by side coming down the hill, but yeah, there's definitely a yellow there. So we'll see what kind of ruling they make on that.
So we're being told that the way that the rules work here is that the yellow goes to the plane of the flag. That was pretty deep into the corner there. So that definitely is one that's going to come under scrutiny. But for now, they race on. And here is Couts, very aggressive, able to get to the inside of the 8 machine of Kotick and take the lead. Following him through is the 33 of Jeffrey Bartz. And now Simon Sykes able to slot his way back into the 3rd position after being shoveled back to 4th on the previous lap. Coming around to complete the 2nd lap of this race. And it is Couts out front for now. But we do have some questions about what happened on that previous lap as Sykes ducks to the inside. Not going to get any drafting help, however, and you can see he had a run, and that head of steam completely went away when he ducked out of line and had no one to help him. Tucks back in line, now pops back out again and is able to slide into the 2nd position, getting around the number 33 of Jeffrey Bartz, taking hold of the runner-up position for the moment.
Now that incident's now clear.
Let's take another look at the start of this race and keep an eye on Couts towards the back. It's actually happening behind him.
Actually, it's Bob Perona that gets caught in that. The number 70 that bumps into the Baylor Griffin there. And so Perona, we know, is currently running 5th, and he looks no real worse for the wear, although his pace is not great right now. He's kind of matching times, not able to make up any ground because he doesn't have any drafting partner with these guys. These 4, if they're smart, can continue to draft. But as you can see, they are battling, interlocking, going through 6. They keep doing this, and Perona actually has a battle on his own hands right now, it looks like.
It takes a lot of respect to run side by side, wheel to wheel in open wheel cars like this, and great respect shown so far from this group in the top 4, although it's about to be a top 5. I think a 5th, 6th, 7th car now entering into the fray as the leaders squabbled for position. That allows some of those giving chase to enter into the mix. Max Mallon in the black number 10 that you're looking at right there. He's running in the 6th position, or at least he was at the start of this lap. It appears to have been able to make up a spot. Now running in 5th.
So your Couts, your leader right now, won this race at this track in 2011, 2012, and 2013. I think those maybe it was 10, 12, and 13, all here at this track. So he's won 3 times. He's trying to be gunning for his 4th. But talk about a dogfight on his hands right now with Bartz and Sykes and Kotick, and now the entire pack has caught them.
Yeah, Sykes took the lead there for a moment in Canada Corner, but Couts really set that up beautifully for the crossover. He was able to take the lead back before they got to Billy Mitchell Bend. So it is still Tim Couts out in front. Sykes giving chase. The 33 of Jeffrey Bartz now running in the 3rd position. And we'll check the gaps at the line, but there's Sykes running in the slipstream. Staying patient at least for the moment. Now does pop to the inside. Wheel to wheel, coming into the braking zone for turn number 1. Give the top spot back to Simon Sykes. Look at this wild racing, fanning out behind the leaders. Back on the attack, Jonathan Kotick trying to go for 3 consecutive championships in this class. And if he could do so, it would make some history.
As I mentioned, Tim Couts also trying to get some history, as he's currently got 3 championships in this class. Dave Weissenhoff has 4. The only driver to ever win 4, so Couts trying to join him, and Couts trying to stay ahead of Kotick, who's trying to catch him with number 3. So you got a lot of that going on, but you've got the likes of Sykes and Bartz trying to get their first in this class.
How about this sequence of corners for Kotick? He takes second in turn 5, now challenging for the lead in turn 6. It's not over yet, side by side through 7, and he's got to back out of it. The outside lane there is not a fun place to be. Kotick challenging through hurry downs now. Here's a peek to the inside by Sykes. Pop back into line. It is a dogfight at the front of this Formula F field.
Love seeing the variety of lines going through the carousel. Some drivers like to enter a little bit wider, some like that nice tight entry as they enter here into the famous kink.
What would the kink be like in one of these Formula F cars? Is it easy flat, or with the tires their size and no aero, is it still a gut check?
No, I think there's a little bit of a twitch there. Of course, loose is fast in these kinds of cars, but I don't think we're looking negative. These are not exactly overpowering cars.
As you heard Hayward talk about, the Honda engine in most of the field comes from the Honda Fit. And it's found a real home in these Formula F chassis. So back to the point, Kotick able to get it done there in Canada Corner. Sykes able to follow him through. The battle is on now for the 5th position, side by side up the hill. Now they fan out for the lead. Here comes Sykes, the pole sitter. He's got a pusher behind him. I believe that is Couts. Both lanes of traffic now occupied, 2 by 2, too deep.
Bartz couldn't figure out who he wanted to follow. If he wanted to stay in behind Sykes, if he wanted to jump out over there behind Kotick.
Sykes able to jump back to the top spot of this race. It's been a revolving door at the front. Kotick, Sykes, Couts, Bartz, all in the mix. Mallinen a few laps ago had the race's fastest lap. He's currently running in the 5th position, and he's been benefiting from a big old tow from the guys up ahead of him, but running a very patient and well-considered race. Here comes Kotick back to the inside, able to take the lead. Sykes working the outside, trying to hold on to P2 for the moment. And we might have another side-by-side fight up the hill into 6 a little bit further back.
Waiting to see if Burton August can get up there. He's actually Sykes' teammate at the Rice Racing, and he is part of this pack now. So again, maybe see if we can get some teammates together to try and work together, because right now we don't have any of that going on. See who can get that Rice Racing there at the back of this pack.
33 of Bartz fighting for position. He was up towards the front a little bit ago and has been shuffled back now to some degree. But Bob Perona able to slide to the inside, following some traffic through the carousel, and pressure started him out from David Livingston Jr. But this fight, 5th, 6th, 7th on back, has allowed the top 3 runners to make good their escape, at least for now, while they're cooperating. That doesn't last very long, does it? Here comes Sykes now. He's to the inside of Kotick. Waiting in the wings, waiting for an opportunity is Couts, and then 2 by 2 they go through Canada Corner. Somehow they get through there cleanly.
That is not cooperation, that is just cohabitation is all this is. They're just barely getting along enough to get through the track.
Sykes, Kotick, Couts the top 3. The number 70 machine, that's Bob Perona, running as far up in the field as he has all day long. Remember, had that contact at the start on the opening lap.
That was a pretty big tangle, so you wonder about whether his alignment, his wheel is still pointing the same way. The precision, the laser alignments that they spend all the time on. And then, second corner of the track, you have a tangling up, and next thing you know, your wheel's pointing crooked down the straightaway, but you got to drive what you have.
Couts goes from 3rd to the lead on that run up the hill and into turn number 1. That shuffles Sykes back to 3rd, Kotick running in 2nd. Those are your podium positions. Here's a little bit further back in the field. The fighting, though, just as fierce. Corona slipping back a little bit. Maladin now able to get up into the 4th spot there through turn number 3, leading that second pack of cars, but they'll fan out again under the Sargento Bridge. Sykes now challenging for the lead into turn number 5. To work the crossover move, but has to wait a moment. Does get up alongside, but is he far enough? The answer is yes. Simon Sykes to the lead again. So Sykes, Kotick, Counts running out front here in the FF National Championship.
Today's broadcast of the SCCA Runoffs is brought to you by Mazda. Feel alive.
When the finish line calls, we answer. Hit the road with insurance protection from Haggerty. Whether you drive a built racer, sports car, or exotic, and save an average of $264. Get a quote today at Haggerty.com.
It's happening more often, and that's not surprising. People are getting lost to find themselves. And discovering the best part is often hidden in the journey along the way. The first ever CX-30. Performance that inspires with available iActive all-wheel drive.
Since the drop of the green, we've seen wheel-to-wheel battles at the front of this Formula F field here in the 2020 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Nothing has changed, reaching the halfway point here. It's been pretty tidy so far outside of a little bit of contact early on, Larry. But how long can that keep up, especially now as we get into the closing portion of this race and patience starts to disappear?
Yeah, this is sort of that middle section of laps. Right now you've got the front 3 that is sort of broken away, and I'm looking at Bartz and Perona there wanting to just, maybe they're working together. They did a nice clean pass in the front straight, not wanting to let that front 3 get away, but this front 3 is losing their patience for sure, and that just lets the other pack come up. 3 is really hard to be partnered with.
And that was a move there from Counts. We saw him back out of it. Not sure he would have done that if we had 2 laps to go instead of 6 laps to go. It definitely cost him some momentum, but he's able to get in the slipstream and get past Sykes now and take the lead. Kotick still under that gearbox. He's able to slot through as well. And it was side by side for a moment for the 3rd position. Sykes, though, able to hold on to it for the moment. Jeffrey Bartz, who had been shuffled back a little while ago, has raced his way back up just outside of the podium. He runs in the 4th spot in that 2nd blue car. Bob Perona running in 5th, as he has much of this race. Veteran putting his experience to work. As long as you're in striking distance, there's no sense in taking any kind of unnecessary risk.
Well, down in the pits, I guess, Hayward was talking to a couple of the drivers beforehand, and he had talked to Tim Counts a little bit and said, what kind of strategy you got? He says, there is no strategy in a dogfight.
That's a good line. And that's what we have on our hands here. Counts right now out in front of that dogfight. He's going to be defensive, or looked like he was at least, and then Kotick able to slot his way to the inside. Counts chopping down across the nose of Sykes, which sends him on a wild ride on the exit of Canada Corner. That opens the door around the outside now.
Sykes, though, might be coming true to what he had told me last night. I was asking him about, okay, what kind of strategies? Do you have any friends you're going to race with? Have you raced with these guys before? And before I walked away, I said, I got to ask you, though, of the pack you're probably going to end up racing with, who's the most aggressive? And he kind of gave me a little wink and goes, it's probably me. And looking at him right here, he's the one pushing the side-by-sides through Canada, pushing the side-by-sides through 5. Sykes is certainly the aggressor here as the young man, certainly showing a lot of bravery.
He's been doing a lot of racing in the Pro Formula 1600 class. Like we said earlier, tabbed by many as a real up-and-comer in open-wheel racing, part of Jeremy Shaw's Team USA scholarship here this year. And admittedly, it's been a bit of a strange year. Their selection process was different than what they would normally do. But when Jeremy selects you, and I suppose more specifically when the panel that Jeremy assembles to help select his recipients tab you. That is a sign that you are viewed as a real up-and-comer in the sport. And he's right there mixing it up in the front of this very competitive Formula F field. Able to move back up into the second spot right now, still behind Counts, who's been doing a very good job managing traffic. He'll slip out of the lead, but it doesn't seem like he drops back further than second or third at any point, and it doesn't take him long to get back to the front.
It seems like every time we get this camera shot coming out of 7 down the hurry downs, it's always that silver Counts leading that pack down. That's kind of a smart move. The question is, can you be the one leading up the hill after 14? He seems to be able to know where he's quickest. But the other one, as we've been talking about Sykes, is he never seems to be worse than third. He's always mixing it up, making sure he stays in that third. Whereas you look at someone like Bob Perona there in that white car with the red trim, he hasn't been able to get to that top 3.
This is as far up as he has been, a 5-time starter at the Runoffs. He's yet to win a Runoffs gold medal, but he did finish second in 2017 at Indianapolis, and that race would have been about drafting as well. So he has some experience running in the front pack, trying to position himself, maybe learn some lessons from the near miss at Indy in 17. And I'm sure he's been reliving those moments for the subsequent years, trying to think, all right, if I had positioned myself like this, maybe it would have gone like this. And you can use some of those lessons perhaps here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a driving coach, so he's always teaching strategies. And but even on his own website, you read what kind of strategies he has. It's the first and foremost things. Remember, you're here to have fun. That's the first thing before you get into the technicalities of it. And I guarantee you right now, he's having fun right in the middle of this pack of 5.
I got to figure out which way to go. Left, right, do you stay in line? He's going to go with the youngster Simon Sykes, at least for the moment. Sees the opportunity present itself to perhaps move his way up into the second spot if he can make it stick through turn 1. Counts not going to give any room, though. He fights back hard on the outside, and they're still side by side through 3 and give the edge to Counts. Perona has to fall back in line. How much of this is information gathering, knowing where you need to be, where you can make the move on the final lap?
You're watching trends. You're watching, okay, who takes this certain entry point, who takes this certain line, who has a tendency to go down even this straightaway into 5, a little more to the left, a little more to the right. You're watching all of that. The problem is you've got to keep track of 4 other data points and try to remember, wait, was this, if you're Perona, say, wait, was that Kotick that did it that way, or was that Sykes that did it that way? And that's a lot of information.
I like the way Perona approaches this. He doesn't seem to fight and scrap and claw for every inch the way some of his competitors around him do. And that'll change as we get closer to the end. But he has done a very good job staying in contention. Remember, he was not part of this lead pack for the bulk of this race, and he needed the opportunity to arise to get back up with them. And right now, it seems like he's just prioritizing staying in the mix, and will go racing for the last 4-8 miles of this thing.
The veteran racer realizing the race is 13 laps, it's not 3. The only time it becomes a 3-lap race is when we get to lap 11.
So we're going to have a replay here of the start of this race. Watch Counts in the silver and red car and Perona in the white car, and there might be a little wheel-to-wheel contact here. And so we're talking about information gathering. Yeah, Counts didn't give him much room there on the exit, did he?
Wow. Really did push Perona right out to the exit there, make him use the rough curbing we've been talking about right there at the exit of 1. So there, talk about that information. I guarantee you that Bob Perona has that. Remember, has a little bit of that memory.
And that moment there caused a bit of a logjam, and then we had the accident in turn 3 that immediately followed that. So a lot of the drama on that opening lap started with that moment we saw just a second ago in the replay. For now, though, it's Simon Sykes out in front. He'll take the defensive line down the front straightaway. Start on lap number 10 of this race. Counts able to sweep by unchallenged. And now Sykes just going to try and hold on to the second spot. He's able to do it. Here comes Kotick now, who's been sitting towards the back of this train for the last few laps. And looks like it might be go time for him as he's able to get past Perona into turn 3.
I was wondering when Kotick was going to maybe start to, because he seemed to be a little bit patient back there like Perona's been. So these two veterans are saying, okay, maybe time to start pushing away up a little bit. But there's only 3 spots on that podium, and there's only 1 gold medal.
And Kotick doesn't know anything but the podium at the Runoffs. He's made 3 starts, 2 wins, and a third, I believe it is. And so 3 podiums in his 3 in the national championships. He's outside of podium contention for the moment, but still a long way to go in this race. Counts out in front, trying to hang on over Jeffrey Bartz and Simon Sykes. That's your top three as they run.
Another one of those races that just makes me just get the itch, just grab my helmet out of the car and just jump into the race. This is just amazing racing, super clean, but aggressive clean.
And these cars, low horsepower, no downforce to speak of. That's why it's a perfect training ground for young drivers.
Yeah, nothing worse than a young driver jumping into something with wings and start to rely on that as they grow. You have to get in, and you really gotta really, you gotta learn the craft. You gotta really learn the craft and learn the feel of what it's like to go out there without any arrows, getting little tires, whether it's in the Formula Vs or whether it's here in the Formula Fs, to really understand how racing is done in its purest form.
Sykes said he was going to be the most aggressive, and here we go. Can he go from third to the lead in Canada Corner? He'll have to settle for second. I saw him a moment before contemplating moving to the inside of the kink and going too wide through the most treacherous corner, quite possibly in American motorsports, and thought better of it, at least here on lap number 10. That might change, though.
He's collecting data. That's what he's doing. Again, how many passes can you make going into Canada? Can you go from fourth to second or something?
And let's watch here. He was quite a ways back of the leader coming out of 14. Got in the slipstream, but wasn't able to get the kind of tow needed to make the run to the line. And that's the other calculation. Where do I need to be? How far back can I be to make that run, get in the draft, and get to the checkered flag first?
Down to our last 3 laps, and again, we're watching the two veterans back there with Kotick and Perona. They've been patient, but at some point, patience gets thrown out the window and desperation sets in.
Sykes starting to look racy. Got on the gearbox of Counts there on the exit of 3 and wasted no time jumping to the inside. It looks like there could be some lap traffic to deal with before this is all said and done as well. Sykes not able to get alongside until the braking zone, but he does get on the brakes late, slides on through, slides wide, however. Counts, though, unable to take advantage of that. He'll have to stay single file up the hill through turn 6.
Sykes very good at a braking there. Weren't quite sure if he was going to make that in there, but just really good car control to get that in and hold that line.
This has been breathtaking racing at the front of the field, very clean since the opening lap at least. And it's really come down to these 5. The next group is some 9 seconds back. That's currently led by David Livingston Jr. Max Malinen, who looked like he might be part of this scrap for the lead, has fallen off the pace a bit, running in the 7th spot. Burton Kyle August in 8th. They're running in a group of 3. Bill Kephart kind of by himself right now. A couple others running a little bit further back in the pack.
Here comes the race for second or third position, where everybody wants to be.
And that might be why we haven't seen many challenges for the lead at this point. As we get down to the end, there is the conventional wisdom that the leader is a sitting duck. Here is the lead group now working its way through lap traffic. That is a tough spot to be in. The lap car going on a bit of a safari through the grass there. It's Alan Murray. The last thing you want to see is the leaders bearing down on you, fighting for position with just a few laps to go. He did a pretty good job trying to not interfere, sacrificed his own race.
Appreciate him doing that, but going through the grass like that's a scary moment. But back here with these leaders, and again, everybody wants to be sitting in second.
Oh no, Counts nearly goes around. He gathers it back in. Kotick in a bit of trouble. There's contact with Perona as well. That has let the top 2 sprint away to a bit of an advantage. Perona able to sneak through and get into 3rd. That was all Counts getting sideways. He got the entry to turn 1 just that little bit wrong. He was able to catch it, but it held up a couple of the front runners.
I don't think it cost him a ton, luckily for him, because that could have been a lot worse, both with the big slide as well as that contact. Still with another about 10 miles to go, or about 6 miles to go here, still able to continue going.
But now to the inside. About had his nose chopped off there by Counts. Might be problems with Perona's right rear. We'll have a better look, I think, with this replay. Look at the contact here. It should be left front to right rear. That's a pretty big hit in these cars.
It certainly is, but that Miguel chassis has definitely taken some abuse today and continuing on. So we'll see again if he's got that car, the rear end of that straight. It's going to be interesting going through the kink now.
That's true. Here is the top two. A lap and a half to go here to settle the national championship, and these two have separated themselves from the pack. Couts, though, has done a nice job to recover. He's just close enough. Maybe he can get back in that slipstream and get into the mix. And now Perona and Kotick are left to fight over the scraps. That's for 4th and 5th as it stands.
Oh, Couts is definitely there. You can see that draft, how strong that is to pull him right up into it. But here's Kotick.
Yeah, don't count him out as well. Perona perhaps struggling a little bit after that contact. That's a real shame. He had a great race going.
They're gonna play the leapfrog game down the front straight. I just don't know if it's gonna be enough to catch these top three. But I'm keeping my eye on that on Couts there in that chrome 88. He's the one to watch here in this catbird seat. If he can be in 3rd now, make a move to 2nd.
Coming up on the part of the track where it nearly all went away from him. Turn number 1 last time, gets in the tow, able to jump to the outside and make the move down the front straightaway. Simon Sykes will follow him through. Jeffrey Bartz led that lap by 75 thousandths of a second. He holds onto the lead for now. It is Couts running 2nd. And Sykes in 3rd, swings to the outside. He's looking to take the 2nd spot here on the final lap. The white flag came out the last time by the start-finish line. Side by side from the exit of 3, and that's going to let Kotick and Perona get back into the mix. It's a 5-car battle for the national championship. 2 abreast through the Moraine sweep. Now they settle into single file, at least in the top 3. Kotick to the inside of Perona. They'll settle into 4th.
They came back into it. This isn't over.
It looks to me like Sykes has no interest in making that pass too soon. He is very happy running in 2nd. The problem is he's got to find a way to keep Bartz behind him.
Yeah, he's got 3 other hungry drivers behind him, so if you don't make a move, someone else is going to make the move for you and go around you.
Oh, that is some touch-and-go stuff under the brakes. Simon Sykes running wide, able to wrangle it back under control. Bart's taking a peek to the outside in the carousel. But it's Couts out in front in the silver and red 88. Not sure that's where he wants to be, but that's where he is.
This is going to be the chess match.
There is a standing yellow in turn 10, we are told.
14.
Turn 14, we are told. So that does take one passing zone out of the equation.
This might
Here comes
decide it
Sykes.
then, right
He
here.
makes the move to the lead now because he knows this might be the last best chance he's going to have. Cleanly through Canada corner. He's got Couts behind him. The 2 most aggressive drivers in this field that we've seen so far. You saw the yellow flying. Simon Sykes now needs to get a great run out of turn 14. We'll see what Couts can do coming up the hill. Sykes weaving back and forth, trying to break the toe. Simon Sykes across the top of the hill. Here comes Couts now, looking to the inside, and Couts will win the 2020 National Championship.
What a finish.
Tim Couts narrowly edging Simon Sykes at the line by the narrowest of margins, 47 thousandths of a second.
Wow.
Here we go. Let's take a look at it again. Simon Sykes nearly got the run out of 14 he needed, but Tim Couts able to play the slipstream to perfection en route to a coveted gold medal.
So that would make 4 Formula F titles for Tim Couts and his gold medal runs. All of them here at Road America, and he will join Dave Weitzenhoff as the only 4-time Formula F winner. Weitzenhoff won it back 1977, 79, 81, I can't find the other one, and 87. So what a run, what a race.
Bob Perona ends up on the podium. After all of that contact, we saw him survive. Did a good job to get a medal.
Yeah, and that runoff of 14, able to get in behind Sykes and that Piper chassis. So we talk about the slightly different chassis, right? The Lagale that Sykes is in, and Couts in that Piper, maybe a little bit slipperier for the straight line speed, able to make that pass before the finish straight.
Was that a bit of deja vu there for Simon Sykes? He was here for the June sprints.
Yes, it was with Verona he was battling with, and he got just nipped at the stripe there then. And here it is, Couts doing the same thing to him, right under the checkers.
Oh, what a remarkable race it was. Formula F, for so many years, such a crucial development tool for young drivers, aspiring professionals, and for those who don't aspire to a professional career. It's been a fun playground, and we saw a nice mix of the two over the course of this race, and you can see why this class is so highly regarded. Close racing, competitive, and you get finishes unlike just about anything else in racing. You can almost count on it.
You had the experience of the veterans of someone like Tim Couts, who's out there in a way, I wouldn't say controlling, but in a way kind of controlling. He had, every time we saw him coming through the 5, 6, 7 section, he was almost always in the lead. And then he saw that aggressive youth of Simon Sykes, constantly nudging and coming side by side in corners, and seeing that coming together with such precision in their skills. Just a beautiful, beautiful exhibition.
And it's a beautiful looking car as well. They always look pretty in Victory Lane, but I do love the paint scheme.
Chrome is my favorite color.
On this car, yes. Number 88 of Tim Couts from St. Charles, Illinois. That Piper chassis you talked about. Riding amongst the Mygales, Van Diemen's, more towards the front of this field.
Did he not stop?
It looks that way. Well, we'll have to send Hayward to go chase him down.
I'd say it's because he's, maybe he's never been here before, but this is his 4th win. So, yeah, he's been here before.
Yes, I think so. So 10 previous runoff starts. You mentioned the 3 wins, 2 other podiums to add to that. So now he is over the 500 mark in terms of medals at the runoff, 6 out of 11. And as we try and track down our winner, we'll show you the results here. 47 thousandths of a second. Tim Couts over Simon Sykes to take the national championship. Tim, one of the veterans of the class, Simon, a real up-and-comer. He's going to be able to take some lessons learned from this one, I have no doubt, into many future races in his career. Bob Perona from Indianapolis finishes in 3rd. Jeffrey Martz was up there towards the front the whole time. And for Jonathan Kotick, this is the first non-podium finish of his runoffs career. Can't go for the 3-peat. He'll have to settle for the title of back-to-back national champion.
Yeah, but a great run. I mean, to be in that mix, that whole race, and just to stay with it, just put on one heck of a show.
That was your lead group there at the end, that top 5. We do have Hayward down in pit lane. He's got at least one member of our podium. Hayward, who did you find?
Well, guys, right now we've got the 7-0 car. You guys were talking about how close this competition was. It was closer than close. Bob, we lost Tim. We're not sure where he went. You're getting the bronze here. Tell me about your race.
Oh, wow. It was it was unreal. I mean, the car was handling really, really well. We didn't quite have the straightaway speed, so it was really hard to stay with, but when I get packed up, I was okay. It was just such a hard fight. Man, like, all of those guys are so good.
What is the balance here at the runoffs of fun and stress in a race like that?
Oh, it's 100% fun. I enjoyed every minute of it. I probably didn't make some friends out there. I probably gained some new ones, who knows, but the last lap was insane, and it was just, I wasn't gonna be knocked off the podium. I was gonna get there, so I'm just really happy. I gotta thank Cahill and Chris Kaiser, where you are. Love you, man. And my wife, Kate, Michael, Brandy, everybody, and to the Paps boys that are hopefully watching. That's how it's done, boys, so go get it. And, man, I just had so much fun.
Always the coach. Congratulations on the 3rd.
Thanks, bud.
Guys, as soon as we find Tim, we'll let you know.
Sounds good, Hayward. Thank you very much for your hard work down in pit lane. And I love the comment, oh, it's 100% fun. Totally living up to his slogan.
Absolutely. And clearly just the joy and elation that he, and the drive to say, I wasn't going to be off of this podium.
Shows what the podium steps mean to these competitors. Yes, you want the title of national champion, but if you can bring home a medal from the SCCA runoffs, that's something you can show off to your friends and say, look, I am one of the 3 best drivers in the country in my class for this year, and that really is saying something.
Oh, and in this field, with the depth of this talent, the youth and the experience together makes for some great talent, some great racing.
Well, it's a bit of a shame because I know we had some good racing further back and we didn't have a chance to really focus on that. But when you had the top 5, and sometimes it was the top 7 or 8, all mixing it up the way that they were, some of that is this class at Road America, but a lot of it is just this class. This is what you expect from Formula F.
Oh, it is. And that's what the draw is into this class. It's where the talented young drivers go, and it's where some of the talented drivers that are still around want to stay. You know, folks like Bob Perona, they want to stay in this class because they want to race against the young talents that's still coming in.
Let's go ahead and take a look at how this race played out. Simon Sykes, your Tire Rack Pole Award winner, he led the field at the drop of the green. Jonathan Kotick, the 2-time and defending until a few moments ago national champion,
and
got a
there's your
great
first
start.
and third of the podium. Get it together right there in turn 1.
It started early between these two, that's for sure. And then we had this contretemps a little bit further back. Unfortunately, an early end of the day for Baylor Griffin. No fault of his own, just wrong place, wrong time. And this was some of the scrapping we saw throughout the course of the 13 laps. 3 wide at times and flying off track, doing things like this. It made it a ton of fun to call this race.
Always exciting, this field.
Here comes Kotick now. He almost threw it all the way right there in turn number 1, was able to bring the car back under control. That's a second run-in between our eventual winner, Couts, and Perona.
Unbelievable, yeah, the 2 of them making contact in these kind of cars, and then they both still end up on the podium.
Simon Sykes make the move there in Canada corner. You can see the yellow flag at the top of your screen. I think he felt like he had to get that move made because there was no guarantee there'd be a clean stretch of track not covered by yellow later in the lap. So he made the move probably sooner than he would have liked, and this is the photo finish that we saw. Just that close.
You can't fault Sykes for doing what he did. He knew he had to stick the move there, and just in case, like you said, that yellow carried all the way through, he needed to be in the lead.
And even still, it came down to thousandths of a second separating first and second place. And it looks like we found Tim. Hayward is there.
Tim, you told me on grid that there's no strategy in a street fight, but you sure seem to make a pretty strong strategic move there going to Canada corner on the last lap. Was that intentional, or did they take the lead from you?
You know what, the draft, as everybody knows, is just huge here, and it's another magical day here where everything was fast. And it's just the way the chips played. You really don't know the hand you're dealt until about 2/3 of the way through the last lap. So you just stay close and hope it works out, and it did. So
throughout this race, you were in the front of the pack, second, third, shuffling back and forth. How much trust does it take to be on a racetrack with guys like this running that close in cars like these?
Pretty awesome. These guys are really, really good. These kids are incredible. So it's kind of cool to be, 2.5, 3 times their age and still run with them.
Well, congratulations to you. The KG veteran takes the win.
Thank you.
And we're going to try to grab second place real quick right here. Tell me your first name.
Simon.
Hayward doing his best to wrangle our runner-up finisher, Simon Sykes, down there. A name that maybe people weren't familiar with coming into the weekend, but you're going to be down the road.
So.
We saw the kind of potential that he has on full display here in this race today and came up oh so close. We're talking about inches when we're talking about 47 thousandths of a second.
Showed precision car control and very good racecraft.
And Hayward has Simon now down on pit lane.
After 14 laps, it comes down to the front straightaway. Did you have a strategy? What were you thinking going into turn 14 on the last lap?
Oh, well, I knew Keltz's car had been really, really fast on the straights all weekend, so I didn't really know what to do at that point. I figured if I was behind him, I probably wouldn't get by him, so I just tried to get out front and get a gap. And on the last lap, I wanted to be leading, and I led, but it just wasn't enough right at the line. He got me by a foot at most. Super close racing all the way through. Can't thank Greg Rice enough for putting a great car out on the track.
Simon, what are your emotions going through a race like that, being in the lead, second place, third place, and then come up at the line just that bit short? Was that, a lot of times, second place for us feels a little disappointed. Is this a disappointment, or are you excited to be on the podium?
Well, it's a little bit of frustration. I mean, I qualified on pole, was really happy with that, and coming into my first runoffs, obviously I can't be disappointed with the podium finish, but we were so close to that runoffs win, and I really can't thank Greg Rice enough for putting me here and letting me do my job on the track. It was close. It was really, really close.
Well, congratulations on the silver, and congratulations on being one of the best races so far we've seen at this runoff.
Thank you very much.
Can't argue with that, Simon. You're right. It was close. Very,
Absolutely.
very close. You could see the smile under the mask, can't you?
Yes, you can. And I think he had himself a good time there. And I do think we're going to be hearing that name for a little while. That young man has got a pretty good future.
But today belongs to Tim Couts. Picks up the national championship once again, a 4-time champion now in Formula F. Congratulations to Tim and to the rest of the podium, Simon Sykes and Bob Perona. But Tim Couts is your FF national champion for 2020.